Flipping heck, it's another episode of Bob. In this episode, I'm going to be messing around with the bulkhead side panel and also finishing off the footwell repairs. I'm not going to go over the whole bulkhead. I just want to show you really how I did one corner of it. And then the other one, I'll just carry on and do that without videoing it. Save me a load of time. Yeah, enjoy the video if you like it. If you don't like it, if you must. Subscribe, it helps me, it helps the channel, gives me a little bit of a boost, you know, motivates me, I guess. I enjoy making these videos. I mean, my day job is the primary thing, this sort of stuff. That's what I do for a living. But, you know, making the videos as an information channel, I do enjoy it. So, for your benefit, if you want to contact me, Church House Classics, it's all one word, @gmail.com. If you do send me an email, just bear in mind that that's the day job, so I can't always respond the minute you send an email. I do promise to get back to you. It might take me a day or two though sometimes, especially if your question's a long one. I mean, I have to ponder and think about the answer. I do have a website, churchhouseclassics.co.uk, again, all one word. Down here somewhere, there's a little PayPal me link if you fancy supporting the channel, or buying me a pint. And that's it. There is some merch being put together, a little keyring thing that my missus is organising. So, exciting news coming forwards. Enjoy the video. The delivery's arrived. Oh yes. All the bits I need ready to finish this bulkhead off. So we've got a pair of footwells. Now the only thing I really use these things for is kind of the pressed out section. The two ribs, because they look quite smart on the inside and the outside. I don't use this side bit because it's the wrong profile, and I'll go through that at some point when I actually weld that on. I've got a pair of inner sills. That's the inner sill section. Looks like it's been powder coated. I need to just double check this isn't transport paint, because if it is, it's fucking coming off. I've never seen them powder coated before. There you go, a pair of those. I've got one outer sill. The other one's on back order. But they're easy enough to fit together. These things come pre-drilled, by the way, which is nice, because I've struggled before. Now these are the seat base holes that go through there. Big box of body mounts and engine mounts, rear cross member. There we are, and I've got a couple of bulkhead side panels. I've been looking for this company for ages. There we are. That's the company that pressed these out. So it was the ODS Metal Services Limited. I shall have to Google them and see what they say. Now, what I'm going to do, I think, the other camera's run out of batteries. It's charging up at the moment. I want to replace a chunk of this, but I don't want to replace the whole thing, because I just think that's futile. This one's probably not as nice as the other one. Neither of them is particularly nice. Let's take the footwell off the top. I can go down there. The reason I've kind of pondering that is because it's a bit of a fucking balls ache getting that lip down there separated, and it's very visible when the engine bay, or when the engine is open, when the bonnet is open. What are you talking about, Richard? So I thought, well, actually I'd kind of just leave this section attached, and on the inside faces, I don't know if we can see in here, let's get going. You've got the bracketry and so forth for, you know, various other parts of the car. That'll all clean up when it gets grip blasted. So what I was kind of thinking was sort of slice it more or less where I've sliced it already, and then butt weld the two halves together. I could do a little bit of an overlap with the inner and the outer skin sort of thing. And then in preparation for that, just to see how feasible that is, I made myself up a template with 4 bolts that go through the 1, 2, 3, 4, disappeared off the bottom, bolt holes. So I can actually then make sure that it is absolutely perfectly aligned. So let's get one unwrapped and see how feasible this is going to be, or whether I'm going to have to actually just see if I can get the whole side panel off like I did before. But like I say, if I can make life a little bit easier for myself, I'm planning on doing so. Because apart from kind of this bit here, the rest of this panel ain't too bad. There's a little bit of stuff that needs grinding off here. That's the remains of an inner wing there. No, a repair panel. It's got pop rivets, the inner wing would have bolted on up here. But again, on this section up here, aside from the fact there's a whole load of crumbly shite up here, most of that is just paint. And the lip that goes up the edge there is in good order. And when you open the bonnet, that is very, very evident. Same over here. That lip there. It's difficult to make that look pretty. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm going. I mean, I guess I could, if I was being careful, I'd just cut along here, cut up there, cut along there, grind it back until the lip fell off. But I don't know. It just seems, it sounds like it's wasting a grinding disc to me. And also then I'm going to struggle to get this aligned here because I'm not going to know orientation, blah-de-blah-de-blah. Right, here we go. Sorry, wibbly wobbly camera. So that is the side panel in its entirety. And you can see this is a later one which has got the access hole for the loom to come out of the side. I don't need all that crap, you see, so it's another hole I'd have to weld up. I don't want to disturb the top of the bulkhead up here. So you kind of see where my rationale is coming from. That it could end up just being that I'll just trim the bits off this panel that I need and weld them on. Or I'll work it out and with the side panel that comes on here, which has got the inside section of the reinforced panel, that step piece there is the inside half of this. So it could be that I use that bit because it's going to be wasted anyway. I'm going to chop this off down here because that's useless, but I want to hang on to this because it's got the right profile for the floor. And then really slice this down, make up a repair panel, or cut that one up. Don't know yet. And also you can see here this has got quite a big lip that runs right the way around the outside. It goes from there and runs down like that. It doesn't. When they were new, they did not look like that on the outside profile. It had the lip on the outside of it. Where's the other one gone? Because I can butt them up and show you what they look like. See, this comes with a nice little water trap on it. And the chances are you're replacing. I mean, this is a repair section in fairness, so it's a repair section that's designed to be repairing the floor section. It's supposed to go around the body mount. I might have to get some way of lifting the bulkhead up a little bit, but it goes around the body mount, and then this goes top. Just a minute. It's difficult to demonstrate it because this line up here goes up here. I don't need any of that top section. All I need really is the bit down. It's got a nasty kink in it because they all have. The profile there is different to the profile there on the production cars. You can see the line is kind of bent. I don't know if they've ever managed to fix that. And then this lip is the wrong way around because it should be like that. Get the drift. Should have that on the outside of it. And then these two holes on the bottom of this panel are what the outer wing secures to. There's a little kind of bracket thing that the outer wing goes on to. So enough rambling. I think what I'm going to do is tidy up this end of the bulkhead, see what I'm keeping, see what I'm not keeping. It needs to be lifted up a little bit. I might even just mount the bulkhead upside down and work on it upside down because it's just I mean, it makes no odds, does it? And then it could well be that I continue along this line here, just make it repair panels to fill in the floor well, or I use that. These are about 40 quid. I mean, it's like an hour's labour. So it's not like an hour's labour. How much are they? £33.60. So I think for the cost of that, I'm just going to cut them. I will use those because it puts the ribs in the floor and they look a lot nicer. But obviously what I do need to do is to make sure that the profiles are right. When I did Alan as well, I had a problem with this edge here. Didn't quite meet up with the gearbox cover. And I had to weld a fillet on there, which was a pain in the arse. Now that could have been down to me, or it could have been down to the repair panel, I don't know, but I'll double check that. Once bitten, twice shy and all that. Right, let's have a little clear up and I can start fiddling around. I'm going to do the driver's side first of all because I've already kind of started on that section. Right, this is what I was talking about. So we've got the bulkhead upside down. Driver's side footwell looking upwards. That's where the vent goes out, speedo pod goes up there, heating unit goes down here. There you go. So you've got and the pedal box comes through the big oblong hole. Steering column. Right, now I need to tidy all this lot up still, but this is obviously the welding I did from the other side. This panel here, in its completeness, in its entirety, is supposed to replace that panel. I probably didn't explain it very well before, but I don't really want to be starting to cut out the top end of it because I've got that big hole I don't need, I've got a load of other holes I just don't need, blah-de-blah-de-blah. What's the fucking point? So what I'm actually thinking is, if I was to cut down here, straight down, that bracket's in the way. So what I might actually do is cut down here, and then along there, and then down there like that. And cut the side off. I need to grind back some welds. I mean, someone's been really busy here with a welder. A lot of snot there. A lot of snot. I'm not going to bother grinding any of this shit back because all this is going to get cut off. And then I shall bolt up my template. All I want is 2 holes for it to bolt into. As long as it bolts into 2 holes, and then I can bolt the remains of this panel onto the other 2 holes, ensure that this edge along here is straight weld. With me? Piece of piss, I reckon. So I'll tell you what, let's stop gabbing on about it and get on with it. And really this is just about putting the bulkhead side piece on. Once it's in place, I'm probably not going to do an awful lot with this at the moment. It will need adjusting, that floor, because you can see already it should be curving that way and it's curving downwards, but that's nothing that a bit of hammer work couldn't do. And then once I've got the bulkhead side piece in place, then I can start fucking around and messing around with the main panel. Now what is that? That's just a patch there, so that seems like a good opportunity there to cut through, right through there, straight the way up. I think I can do that. What I'm going to do first of all though, I think I'll get the needle scaler on this edge and just see what on earth is underneath all this crap. Make sure there's not any holes that I'm not anticipating. Sound reasonable? And I get that edge down there back again because I'll use that bit to go against it. Right. Bulkheady. So last night I was working on this, which is really, you recall from the last video, I welded this in, welded the mount in that's under here. So all that's done. And now what I'm doing is really, I'm working on getting this side piece put into place. So you've seen, made up my template, so I make sure that the bulkhead actually goes in the right order. Confirmed I've got straight edges on the top here. Got my bot clamps in place, and now it's a case of welding in. So if I get this panel welded in, then that's gonna get, I mean, okay, I've got a little bit of finishing around here and so forth to do, nothing particularly serious. I've ground back all the weld up the outside of this panel, and there's nothing else really on this that is cause for concern. It's in good order. This, I'm not sure if it's powder coat or transport paint. Whenever you used to buy these products, they always just came with a transport paint, and it was okay, but you know, you didn't want to put paint over it, you wanted to get the transport paint off first of all. Now, it scuffs, but it doesn't come off, so I'm inclined to think that they're actually powder coating this now, but I need to confirm and check. Whatever happens, once this is all welded up, and once I've ground all of these welds back and tidied everything out, because it's all a bit untidy on the inside at the moment, but will be welded flat. Once I've done all of this, then it's just going to simply be a case of this will all go down to spray blast in Wickham, whole bulkhead, and I will want them to grip blast it right back. So the whole thing is grip blasted back. I'll help them out by scraping some of this shit off, dum and so forth. But grip blast the whole thing back, and then I can then paint it with an epoxy and a top coat. And I just think it gives it the best fighting chance. I'll do exactly the same thing with these front wings as well. They will be grip blasted back, sprayed with an epoxy primer, and then top coated, and it'll just give them a fighting chance. But obviously this one needs a bit of work before that one can largely just go straight and be grip blasted. That was a bit of a bargain, that one. But didn't pay an awful lot for that wing, I don't think. Way less than a brand spanking new one, and it's an original part. I think it might actually be, because it's got this profile on the side, it might have been one of the kind of the black powder coated ones that you see on the market at the moment. But once it's been grip blasted back, I'll be able to do a full assessment on it, but that's certainly viable as a driver's wing. This one is a newer design, as I've told you already. I might not have done. Sorry, that sounded a bit harsh, didn't it? Shut up, Richard. But this one needs some work doing to it. If I don't use this in a wing, I am going to use it on my car, on L95, because all I really need to do is to adjust this piece here to make it suitable for a later car, and it's far, far better, did I just say farts, than the L95 passenger side inner wing, both of which need replacing on that car. Right. So, with this, really what I want to do next, it needs to come off. Now I know it fits, it needs to come off. I need to dress all these areas back, like I have done with these. Dress them all back, probably use the 1 centimetre needle file. That's a bit that I cut off there. Crap. Dress all these areas back, punch holes in this piece here so I can plug weld it onto the other side. But first and foremost, I think it's going to get a weld along this edge here, flip the bulkhead over, and then work on the other side. Does that make sense? I think that makes sense. Here, what I've been doing, I still need to grind a little bit back. This is that reinforcing plate that sits on the inside. It's more or less there in its entirety. So that's, again, exactly the same reinforcing plate. It's difficult to see because there's so much shit on this chassis. Big reinforcing plate, and it's supposed to sit, I guess, underneath the brake pedal and the steering column. So it just puts a bit of strength in. Now, on this car also, because there is more of the footwell left on this than I've seen in the past, the footwell panel goes up like this and along the top there, as you can see. However, there is a strengthening rib there, which looks to be factory standard. There is a bracket here, which I knew about anyway, because that's where the brake pipe, fuel lines, etc. connect on. So I need to make that up, because I've never fitted that onto Project Alan, and I'll do that on this one. But yeah, there's a couple, sorry, I was talking, wasn't I? A couple of strengthening places. One there, there's one there, there's the bracket. So that's why I've left all this shit on, you see, because I want to actually understand what is going on with that, and why those bits have been on there. As you can see, I've already started to grind back the body mount on that. But I'm not going to video all of that side. I just want to get this side done, record it, show you how it's done, and then I will get on with this bulkhead. Footwells. Footwells. This is the passenger side. Now, when you buy these repair panels, you buy them with this big old kind of piece on the side there, which isn't correct, as you've seen, because the panel should have this lip along the edge. So obviously you can see I finished welding this joint here, and it's all flat and level. I need to grind the outside back. I've ground the inside. Slight bit of interference up here with this panel here, but what I've done, starting with that, chopped that amount off, quite a lot of it actually, and ended up just with this bit. Now, you might think, oh, wow, seems quite expensive, doesn't it? But it's going to take me probably a little bit longer than this panel cost in my time to press these two ribs out. Now, I could actually ignore the ribs and just say, right, fuck it, you're just having a flat panel in there, and then just weld a strengthening plate on the other side. But, you know, people look under the wheel arches, they want to see a rib. Now, having welded the side piece on here, we've got this platform here, which is kind of probably a little bit too low. I need to dress that back a tiny bit. And we've got this edge here. Okay, so the way this works is that edge there needs to run parallel to the lip, all the way down. And then this fills in the gap. So I need to clamp it all together. it needs to clamp onto this piece down here, to the other side of that, and it also needs to clamp up here and then run parallel. Now I will weld a lip to this. So I need to weld a lip along here once I've decided how much of this I'm keeping. And then the problem I've got is that profile's wrong. Can you see that? Miles out. And that profile's wrong. So what a waste of fucking time. I think next time I do one of these, I'm just going to get a machine shop to press the ribs in once I've cut the piece of metal out. I have got a... what's the word? I can't remember what the fucking word is now. One of those that can put the ribs in if I wanted to. Perhaps I need to spend some time on my own and practice how to put ribs in. But there's got to be a cheaper solution than this. So really all I'm going to do now is line this thing all up. I need to probably put a tack on this just to hold that roughly in place. And then get this in place. And then line this line up here. You can see it's like banana shaped as well, which is part of the problem. And cutting chunks off this doesn't half help. Now, it's this edge here that meets up with the sill, and it's this edge here that meets up with the gearbox cover. So when I did Allen, it was this edge on the driver's side that didn't appear to be quite big enough, so I'm very mindful of that. Now, I've got this edge here as a constant, that's my baseline, and on here I can use that baseline and measure from the baseline to see, and get the angle of course, see how far, because that is actually the edge where it would have bolted onto the floor pan originally. In fact, it's folded down a tiny bit. I can see that now. There it is. There's the corner. So that's the corner. I wanted to keep that because that is then my reference point for this fella. Because if I find from there to there is shorter than from there to there, then I need to do something about that, don't I? Before it's all fucking painted. Oh yes. Have a quick look in there at the inside of that weld. It's been roughly ground back. It's not completely finished yet. It's getting in the right direction though. Right, I think time to get some G-clamps on this and start popping it together. So you can watch, I'll probably time-lapse it and then I'll come back and explain to you what it is I've done, if there's anything that's radical over and above what's taken place already. So far so good. Right, further to that problem that I've had with the driver's side not meeting up with the gearbox, I found the original piece of the floor that I cut off. Now I know this is original because it's still got its kind of reinforcing places and bits all over it. Pop that back into position where I cut it out from, because this has got the datum point here, the point where the floor pan moves down towards the sill panel, okay? And then put my nice straight edge, and on if I put it the right way round, fuck's sake Richard, my nice straight edge on the top up here, and measure it off against where that line goes in. Oh, right, okay, 1mm cutting disc. If I go the right way round, am I going berserk here? I might be going berserk. I might not have enough hands here. This is the problem, I think. So hang that up there. It's level because I've got this straight edge here. I move it back and forth until, there we are. So I've got 1mm gap there, and that is now in line with the edge down here. That edge there. And I mark up here. That gives me the reference point. Okay, so I don't need that anymore. Then I present up the replacement piece and I put it roughly in place, bearing in mind that I haven't yet put a lip on this or anything because I don't know where it's fucking going. And then I need to clamp this so that the edge is in line down here, so it's in line with the kind of the leading edge of the, ignoring all the profiles and everything being all fucking wrong, but that's not far out. Taking down a millimetre further. There we are. Right, now he's there. So my side panel matches up. And then we do exactly the same thing. So we measure down from here. Oh, well, that's a way out. So I'll do it the other way round. It is, I would say, in fact, let's measure it. This angled edge here is almost exactly 1 centimetre further over than it needs to be. So it presents me with a bit of a problem here, because this is the problem I had last time, in that I did not have, this is, sorry, I can't really see that from where I was videoing. So what effectively I've done is I'm measuring to that datum point there. I'll do this whole fucking thing again. Take 2. There's my mark up there that I made by using the reference piece, which is here. And that reference piece would have sat like that, okay? That's the reference point I want to match it up to. I'll put my straight edge along it. I know I did it that way round last time, so I'll do it that way round again. Okay, and it's on. I can't balance the camera and mark it with a pen at the same fucking time. So I'm just going to do it now. Pen. Just going to put a line there. Alright? Take it away. And you can see that line is a fair amount further right than the actual angle of the gearbox cover. And I still haven't made up the lip on this edge yet. So, and you can see here also, because of the problems with the radiuses, this is the problem we get. It's all over the fucking shop, this panel. It really is. So, I don't know. Having cut this thing all apart now, it makes sense to proceed with it. But what I'm going to have to probably do when I make repairs to the gearbox cover is remind myself I need to add more beef on the driver's side, because you invariably have to replace this section up here because it rots out along with the floor. In fact, if we look at the remnants of the old piece, there it is. There's the edge of the gearbox cover there that someone had cut out from before me. So there's a fair chance here that I'm going to end up having to weld that edge back on the gearbox cover. So all I can really do is weld this piece in place once I've corrected all the curvature and everything. And once I've welded everything in place, then I can adjust the gearbox cover. That's the only way I can think of doing it. But there's your challenge. So you've got profile issues. So that profile is correct. This profile's miles out. In fact, you can see I've started to beat it down, but it is absolutely fucking miles out. Because if then I push that piece up there to try and line that up, this no longer lines up. So it's, and you can see the tension it's putting on this edge down here. So it's all, the whole panel is a mess. Now, Froggets do the correct profile, but then it's not difficult to work out the correct profile along here. You can see that that line there, that curvature there, is different from this curvature here along that edge there. And you've got a diagonal line that runs between the two. Okay, that line, as far as I'm aware, that bend should be straight, and that line should line up there. And this is partly where the problem comes from, I think. And when I cut this thing apart, to do that, when I cut this thing apart, I did actually leave as much of this as I possibly could on here, so I could actually work with it rather than against it. Now, I guess one of the things I could do is put this thing on the piece and cut it as is appropriate, but then I'm going to end up with a huge fucking gap down here I need to fill up, and the ribs won't be straight and parallel to the edge. And why am I doing this in the first place? Because I want ribs on it. I should have just stuck to the ribs from the freaking beef eater, shouldn't I? With extra honey glaze on them. Oh, it's all fun this, I tell you, it really is all fun. Never a dull moment. Right, I should put you back on time lapse now, because you can observe me wrestling with this fucking thing now. But that demonstrates why I had the problem, which is why I wanted to highlight that to you. Okay, so reference points, And it's always important to take these reference points. And I'll do the same thing on the other side when I eventually get down to that. But obviously, having left this in place and drilled holes at the bottom edge and the top edge, so I know that that inside face there, regardless of how wide these strips are, I know that that is the bottom of the mounting plate, and the rest of this can go as it needs to. Right, let's get on with this, because all this gabbing on is doing nothing. Well, that wasn't too bad. I had to chop this piece out up here, otherwise I couldn't cut the inner skin off. I'm just going to grind that weld back, ground the rest of the welds back. This gap down here was too large, so I'm expecting an absolute mess on the inside. That's the best I could do with that piece there. I think maybe just a wee skim of filler in there. This was the most disappointing bit because the metal here is too thin and it's just blowing through. So what I'm going to do here is cut along the edge of the mount and down, all the way down. I think, actually no, probably not all the way down to the bottom, just down to that hole there, and weld in a complete new fillet of something. I've got tons of fucking metal left over from that. Well, this little fella up here, and for that repair up there, I should just salvage bits off the edge of the top bit that I didn't use, and I'll have that looking pristine. Oh yes, make no mistake. Well, that's largely in. All I really need to do now, I think, is clamp the piece against the lip on the inside there and just put a couple of tacks along here, and then I can flip it over and see what's going on the other side. There's quite a big piece of distortion right here, so once the bulkhead's in place I'll try belting it with a hammer, and if that doesn't work I might have to actually cut along here, belt it with a hammer and then re-weld it once it's all in place. So I don't know how much is actually shifted out. I shall avoid that on this side. You can see where that the reason I kind of noticed that distortion is because we've got quite a big curve here, because although I thought I'd done it, I hadn't actually got the footwell in the right place, and when I welded that section in there where I'd blown through, I think that's what caused that, because that there should be a nice straight line and going up onto this, a little bit like that. But you can see when I clamp this in tight, I'm just going to get my dick underneath there.